Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei becomes a lightning dragon part 2. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support the AllSlayer for writing that awesome fanfic and also make sure to comment on this story, link in description. Let's start this video. Issei was walking down the street. He was wearing the standard male uniform for the Kuo Academy. He was wearing a black suit jacket with white accents. He wanted to wear white, but not a dress shirt, so Issei wore a white short-sleeved t-shirt under the jacket. He wore matching black dress pants with a pair of blue sneakers. He kept a neutral look on his face as he walked to his first day of school at Kuo Academy. As he walked, he kept noticing the looks he got from those around him. Be it the youngest child to the elderly. Issei assumed it was his long multicolored hair, combined with his larger-than-average frame, that caused the looks of curiosity. Well, day one and I am already a spectacle. Issei thought. That'd be worse, partner. How? You could be hated. Well, you ain't wrong. Issei's conversation with Albion was cut off as he saw the gates to Kuo Academy just up ahead. The looks became more and more apparent as he got closer to the school gates. The scent hit his nose before he focused on the two people standing at the gate. Both were girls with glass and black hair. The shorter one had a bob cut while the taller girl had longer hair. This was Sona Citri and Tsubaki Shinra. Sona was the heir of the Citri Devil clan and technically Issei's aunt for being the little sister of Serafal. Issei made it a vow to never call her his aunt though. He will call her his cousin at best. Tsubaki was the queen of her peerage. Issei gained a light smile as he walked up to the pair as the stares became whispers. Sona. Issei declared loudly, "It's great to see you." He stated loudly as he came up and gave a huge bear hug, shocking everyone in the vicinity. Issei, you can let me go now, Sona responded as calmly as possible. Yes, sorry, orders from mother to do that. Issei apologized. I would expect nothing less from her. It is good to see you again. How have you liked Kuo so far? She asked. Only been here for like 24 hours. I will do more sightseeing in the future, Issei replied easily. Very well, I hope you don't cause too much trouble here, Sona stated with a small smile to prove she was partially joking. Issei's smile grew slightly. I never try to cause trouble. It just finds me. Issei said as he started to walk past her. Well, catch you later. Yes, have a good day, Issei. Issei was now on the main campus. The student count had gone up and again they were staring at him and whispering. His face was back to its resting neutral as he scanned the grounds and the building. He could smell them, Rias and Akeno. He knew they were somewhere on this campus, he just didn't know where. Issei shrugged his shoulders, he would see them eventually. Really now? Don't you start as well, Issei growled mentally. I am just commenting how you are lying to yourself. Lying to myself. You want to find them now, but you're just telling yourself you can wait. It's precious. Shut up, you damn lizard. Ah, you are still a hatchling. Dragons are not creatures of patience. You haven't seen them in person in 4 years. From what I remember, they were already quite the lookers. Think about how much they have grown since then. You have also changed, not in just appearance, but your instincts as well. What do you mean my instincts have changed? I was a half-dragon when I met them. Yes, you were a half-dragon then. But you were just beginning puberty. All the hormones and instincts to mate weren't there yet. Now though, you have grown and matured. I have a bit more self-control than that. Issei countered, annoyed by the comments. You say that now. It was by this time Issei had made it to his designated classroom. He took a breath before he knocked on the door. Come in. Issei heard, so he opened the door and stepped into the classroom. The room was filled. The majority of students in the room were female. Issei did recall the school used to be an all-girls school only until a few years ago. The students were giving him varying looks, from outright jealousy from the male students to open lust from most of the females in the room. Those females that weren't lusting him were giving him curious looks. Man, dragon aura sure is potent, isn't it? You're not the wrong partner. The stronger you are, the stronger your aura is. Given how strong you are without divine dividing, you add the gear to the mix, even if it isn't activated right now, you are a perfect candidate for a mate. Issei cut the connection when the teacher grabbed his attention. The teacher was standing at the front of the room giving him a welcoming smile. Welcome, you must be the new transfer student. How about you introduce yourself and some of the students can ask you about yourself? She said. Issei gave her a nod and turned his attention to the class before him. Good day, my name is Issei Uzumaki. I hope we can all get along, Issei said with a small smile that made most of the girls swoon and made the boys glare at him hatefully. One girl shot her hand in the air after she was called. She asked her question. Is that your natural hair color? Yes, it has been this coloring since the day I was born, Issei said neutrally, knowing that would be one of the first questions. Before anyone else could ask a question, a bald student near the back shot up out of his desk. What kind of girls do you like? Issei was confused by the question and not comprehending what he was being asked. Many of the girls started yelling at the bold young man, the glasses-wearing one sitting next to him, about trying to corrupt Issei. Issei coughed into his fist to get the attention back on him. I don't really understand the question, what do you mean by kind of girls? You gotta know, man, like, do you like them tall, short, thick, thin? Do you prefer breasts or butts? Come on, man, everyone's got a preference. Issei was stunned by the explanation of the question. Everyone was looking at him though, waiting for him to answer. Even the girls who yelled at the boy for trying to corrupt him were looking at him waiting for an answer. Albion, are you seriously asking me to help you in this situation? The white dragon asked incredulously. Yes. I am going to pretend this conversation never happened. Albion then cut their connection so Issei was on his own. He knew what he liked in a woman, what man doesn't. He just didn't want to tell any of them what it was, they would spread it around the school by lunch. Issei sighed out. Honestly, I have a preference for thicker girls. But that isn't my only preference, I have had many catch my eye, one was even petite. So physical characteristics aren't what I care for too much. I prefer a girl that can fight their own battles, but isn't afraid to ask for help. I prefer some who I can depend on as they depend on me as well. When Issei finished, most of the girls had hearts in their eyes from the honest and wholesome answer he gave. Most of the men though, upon seeing the girls' reactions, gave him death glares. Issei didn't care though, he could crush them beneath his heel if needed. Thank you for the honest answer, Issei, the teacher began. She then pointed to a back corner seat near the window. Why don't you take that open desk and we can begin class? Issei gave her a nod of understanding as he walked to the back of the room and sat in his assigned seat. He then sat there for 4 hours trying to pay attention to what was happening in his classes. He had never had a day of formal education in his life and was taught by different instructors. The classroom setting was different for him. His gaze kept being drawn to the window. Then he heard the noon bell for lunch. Issei snapped his attention back to the classroom. People were entering their cliques and talking about mundane things. With this dragon hearing, he could listen to those conversations if he wanted to, but he had no reason to listen to random human teenagers' problems. He was technically the prince of the Yokai faction. He didn't need to be here, like both Rias and Sona didn't need to be here. They wanted some normality though and decided to come to an average human high school. An upper class school, yes, but a human school, nevertheless. Issei stood up and stretched. He needed some fresh air and stretch out in the sun. He was able to do that all the time back in Kyoto, but here he couldn't because he was forced to be in the school building all day. But before he could even leave his desk, the door to the classroom opened and a hush fell over the room. Issei, due to the lack of sound, became aware something changed the atmosphere in the classroom. That is when a scent hit his nose, one he hadn't smelled in 4 years. He knew that scent quite well. Ice-kun, why didn't you tell me you were transferring to my school? He opened his eyes, and he instantly made eye contact with Akeno Himejima, his childhood friend, and according to Albion, one of his chosen mates. He took in her current appearance, and he could barely stop himself from gaping at the sight of her. She had grown a few inches, making her 5'6", this made her a whole 6 inches shorter than him. But that was the only part of her you could call small. Her chest had to be one of the biggest ones he had ever seen. The only ones compared to it would be both Mother Yasaka and his final mother, Naruto's third wife. Even though she was wearing a skirt, he could tell by the widening of her hips that she also had a great ass. Finally, she had never-ending legs, with thighs that could save lives. Her hair had gotten longer as well, she still kept it in that orange ribbon, her hair now reached her ankles. Akeno had noticed Issei's wandering eyes and gained a slight blush that no one noticed, and her smile became a genuine one. She was so happy that he had found her attractive. Other men have noticed her beauty before, but the only one whose opinion she cared about was standing 10 meters away, and by the way, he was eyeing her, he liked what he saw. Finally, Issei met her eyes again, and he gained a small smile. Akeno, it's been a while. Issei said. Akeno kept her smile, but her eyes suddenly narrowed. Ice-kun, I seem to have misheard you, what did you call me? She said as she started walking towards him, and a dangerous aura starting to surround her. Issei's eyes widened slightly at this and internally started freaking out. He had no idea what he did wrong, all he did was greet her like always. He always used her name. Issei's eyes became dinner plates when he realized what he did. She was just a foot away from him at this point. The feeling of dread was almost suffocating. Issei quickly corrected himself, forgive me Haim, old habits die hard. Issei said as he gained an embarrassed smile and chuckled a little awkwardly. Akeno froze for one moment and the dangerous feeling disappeared and her eyes went back to the warm ones he was used to and her smile warmed as well. Since she was only a foot away, she sprang forward and wrapped Issei into a tight hug. I have missed you, Ice-kun. She said just loud enough to be heard by everyone in the room. Issei took a moment to react, but when her words registered his smile grew and became a tender smile as he looked at the top of her head. He wrapped his arms around her as well. I have missed you as well, more than you could imagine. He responded quietly. Everyone in the classroom was shocked by this development. This new transfer student not only was on friendly terms with the student council president but also had a pre-existing relationship with one of the two great one-isamas. Even the pervert duo didn't know how to react. It was after a few moments of the hug did Issei notice the sensations that weren't her arms or warmth. He could feel two impressive orbs against his chest. He then felt a rush of something through his body. A possessive feeling started welling up in his stomach. It got worse as he took in her scent at such a close range. Issei felt the urge to hold her tighter and never let go, which grew to taking her away from prying eyes and to a secluded place where he took grip off her clothing and Issei instantly slammed the door on that train of thought. He could hear Albion chuckling within his mind. "I told you boy instincts." Issei growled inwardly in response, which only caused Albion to chuckle more. Issei then let go of Akeno much to her disappointment. He tried to take a step back, but before he could Akeno latched herself on his left arm with a smile on her face. His arm was sandwiched between her incredible chest. Issei internally felt his inner dragon roar out wanting him to claim what he deemed as his. Issei had to force that urge back as he looked at Akeno. "Ice-kun want to get lunch with me?" Akeno asked looking up at him with such a warm smile that Issei melted on the inside a little bit. "Of course, Haim," he said her nickname in almost a purr that made her feel a shiver run down her spine. Akeno then proceeded to drag him out of the classroom into the lunchtime hallway that was filled with people. Each one looking at the couple with wide eyes and a shocked look on their faces. Akeno giggled lightly at the sight as Issei grinned in amusement. He is shocking the student body left and right today and he found it hilarious, like an ever-continuous prank. His father had taught him about them and he had caused a lot of trouble back home over them. He always got caught though. Mother Yasaka was quite scary when angry. He shivered slightly at that train of thought. Issei glanced at the girl lightly dragging him down the hallway. He regained his smile by looking at her. She was someone who fell into his precious people category. The category was quite small, with only a handful of people being in it. He was happy to have found her again those years ago. When he saw her that day at the celebration it was like a part of his heart was beginning to unfreeze. Seeing her again had filled him with warmth the thought he had lost the day his mother died. "I am glad to see you again, Haim," Issei suddenly said to the girl holding him by the arm and leading him down the hall. Akeno stopped walking as she turned to face Issei, a flustered look on her face with a bit of a blush. "Gah. Ice-kun is the only one who can make me feel like this," Akeno ranted in her head. Where did that come from all of a sudden?" she asked him, trying to keep her tone as calm as possible. Issei just gave her a grin. "Nowhere, I just felt like saying it." Akeno's blush became just a little deeper at this simple explanation. This boy was going to be the death of her. Every compliment or nice thing he said affected her. She could see the amusement in his eyes and knew he was enjoying what he was doing to her. She just huffed and gained a small warm smile on her face. She then started to lead them back down the hallway to the lunchroom. The moment they crossed the threshold into the cafeteria they were the center of attention. How couldn't they be? Issei was the mysterious and attractive transfer student and Akeno was one of the two great one-isamas. Soon every conversation in the cafeteria was about the pair. Issei could hear most of them because of his dragon hearing. Many wondering how they two knew each other and what their relationship was. Many started adding what they had seen this morning at the entrance of campus, where the mysterious new kid had hugged the student council president. Akeno had heard that part but was unaffected knowing Issei was technically the nephew of Sona. She knew that he held no romantic feelings towards the girl and saw her as a family member. Akeno led them to an empty table and sat Issei down and positioning herself next to him. Issei gave her a curious look out of the corner of his eye. Haim, I need to get some food," Issei told her with evident confusion in his voice. "I know, I just wanted to sit with you for a little while first," Akeno replied lightly as she leaned her head against his shoulder. "And today is the only day you will need to get food from the cafeteria. Starting tomorrow I will be making your lunch," she informed him. Issei nodded for a moment taking that statement in, a home-cooked meal every day. She really was his princess. "Thank you Haim, a word of warning though, make it quite large, I eat a lot," Issei said with a small smile. "Noted," is all Akeno replied as she snuggled into him more. Issei smirked at her actions and lifted his left arm and wrapped it around her shoulder and pulled her into him more. Akeno gave a quiet eep at that and flushed a little as she looked up at Issei with a small pout for doing that. He just held his smirk as he made eye contact, his eyes bright with amusement. They were actively ignoring the students around them, who all looked like they had seen a unicorn. It was the end of the school day and Issei walked out of the school building with a stretch. The only good thing that happened that day was his lunch with Akeno. She didn't let him get any food, though never letting him get up from his seat next to her to get anything to eat. That annoyed him a little bit, but she was happy, so he let it slide. "By God, you're already whipped and you haven't even made it with her yet," Albion comment. "Shut up, what is wrong with wanting to make someone you care for happy?" Issei asked, annoyed by Albion's comment. Nothing, but don't let your women control you, partner. You are the White Dragon Emperor, and I can say with the utmost confidence that you are my strongest wielder that has ever lived or will ever live. Gain strength to protect what is yours, yes, but remind them who is the alpha. Wow, old school dragon pride Albion, really? Let me just say this. I care for them and I will do what they ask of me like I expect from them as well, but don't worry partner, I will let them know who the top is. Issei mentally grinned. I'll be inside out, fine, I will take your word for it partner. No need to worry. Issei's response was cut off as he dodged a punch from his left. He tilted his head to the right as he pushed himself the right as well to get some distance from his attacker. Issei gained his footing and looked at who would dare attack him all of a sudden. There standing a few feet from him was the perverted duo he had heard so much about. The bald one was the one to throw the missed punch. Issei gave the both of them a flat stare. He had no opinion on the boys, and as long they didn't do anything that pissed him off, he would have left them alone, but now they came to attack him. If what they say pisses him off, he is going to crush them into the dirt. Why the fuck did you try to hit me? Issei asked with a growl and narrowed eyes. The exiting students all stopped where they were to watch the situation unfold. The perverted duo tried to attack the new kid and they wanted to see how this all went down. You should now, you pretty boy bastard. The bald one shouted, the glasses one nodding repeatedly in agreement. Oh, and what have I done to earn your ire? Issei asked with a raised eyebrow. We have heard the rumors about you and council president and we saw you with one of the great one Isamas. You don't deserve both of them. You don't even deserve one. We are here to show you your place. The bald one declared, taking a standard judo stance. The glasses wearing one got into a sloppy street fighting stance. Both looked so pathetic Issei almost felt pity. But they said he didn't deserve one of his precious people and that pissed him off, so they had to be crushed. He will show them who the superior one was. Issei gained a smirk as he rushed forward, catching both of them so off guard they couldn't react as Issei reached the both of them. He latched onto both of their necks, gripping them tightly as he lifted both into the air. His smirk disappeared into a snarl as he glared at the boys. At his point, more and more people were watching the situation. A few had already gone to get the student council. Listen you, worthless perverts, I don't care how highly you think of yourselves. I can do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want. Issei growled out as he squeezed their necks tighter. Both were struggling to breathe, each attacking Issei's arms or kicking his body to let them go, but to no avail. Issei was like a brick wall to them. I should crush you both. The difference between us is like the distance between the earth and the heavens. If you both try anything to me or those I care for, I will end you. Do you understand? Both stared, nodding vigorously. That is when some new figures entered the fray. Issei let them down, they have learned their lessons. A feminine voice said. Issei turned his attention to his immediate left and there stood his cousin and her peerage, also known as the student council. Issei gave them a side eye. He took them all in, weak. Was his only thought by looking at the peerage. The only one who could do anything looked to be Sona and maybe her queen. I'm Sona, I will let them down. But for the record, they attacked me, this is just self-defense. Issei said as he made eye contact with Sona out of the corner of his eye. I will make sure they are punished accordingly. Now let them down. Sona said neutrally. Issei gave one last squeeze to both as he dropped them. The two boys crumpled onto the ground, coughing the entire time. Issei looked down upon them. Pathetic. That is all Issei said about them. Both started to crawl away from the fallen dragon hybrid. Sona, I believed you would have better control here, Issei said, just trying to get a rise out of her. A rise did come, but not from the clan heir. No, I came from a blonde boy with grey eyes near Sona. One Saji Genshin reacted to those words. Who are you to say anything like that to the Kaichu? He yelled as he stepped forward, his teeth gritted and fists clenched. He could not let this stand. This new person talked down to his beloved king, and from the rumors this morning was supposedly close to her. He had to take this guy down. Issei just rose an eyebrow as he narrowed his eyes slightly. Sona, keep your subordinates under control, Issei warned. Damn, I snapped because of those two perverts, and I was just trying to give Sona a hard time. Now this boy wants to fight me. He is trying to be the alpha. I sense a dragon aura from him. I think it is a sacred gear. The aura is too weak to be a bloodline. Put him in his place. When he awakens the gear, he will instinctually now to see you as his superior. Fine. Saji, calm down, don't do anything rash, Sona warned her pawn. Saji glanced back at her, looking like he was considering her words. Just listen to your king, I was just taking care of trash anyway. You wouldn't want to end up like them. Issei said as he was beginning to leave. What was that bastard? Saji shouted as he rushed forward. Saji, no. Sona shouted. She was too late though, as her pawn had already thrown his punch. Issei watched without moving as this pawn rushed him. Issei couldn't help but think how slow he was. Right before the fist made contact with his face, Issei raised a hand and blocked the punch with one finger. The crowd that was still there was shocked by the action, same with Sona's peerage, since none have met Issei before. Sona expected this, but there was nothing she could do. While she is the overseer of the territory, it technically belongs to Issei, being the heir to the Yokai faction. She is more of a local governor while Issei was the king. The person who was the most shocked was Saji, who was under the impression Issei was a normal human. He may be a newly reincarnated devil, but they have a strength averagely 10 times stronger than an average human. So Issei blocking his punch with one finger seemed insane. Issei for his part raised one eyebrow at Saji. "You should really listen to your king," Issei stated as he stepped into Saji's personal bubble and made a spear hand and touched Saji's chest with the tips of his fingers. There was a moment of non-movement as everyone wondered what Issei was doing. Issei then pushed his hand forward as it turned into a fist as quick as lightning and 1-inch punched Saji, who felt his chest cave on itself as he shot back 5 meters onto his back from the force of the point-blank punch. Saji looked to be struggling to breathe on the ground. Issei put his hand into his pocket as he turned his attention back to Sona. "He doesn't know who I am, so I won't show him what a true dragon can do. Inform your group next time." Issei then turned on his heel and walked away. The gathered students all decided to leave at that point now that the show was over. Leaving Sona and her peerage left. She lifted her glasses to pinch the bridge of her nose. "Saji, are you fine now?" she asked her pawn. Saji, who could now breathe, nodded as he still panted, taking in deep breaths. While Momo and Raruko fluttered around him making sure he was okay. "Aichu, who was he? And how does he know you?" Saji asked his king in crush. Sona's hand left her face as she glanced at her queen, then around the area to see if they were alone. Seeing they were, the Citriere decided to let the rest of her peerage know who Issei was. That is Issei Uzumaki, heir to the Yokai faction based in Kyoto. They control the country of Japan with the Shinto faction. They have gained much prestige in the past century because of the current leader, Naruto Uzumaki. The only male 9-tailed fox in history. He has the power to stand toe-to-toe with the 2 super devils Surzich's Lucifer and Ajuka Beelzebub. She informed the rest of her peerage, who all looked at her with varying levels of shock. "How does he know you though?" Saji asked again. The Yokai faction made a non-aggression pact with the devils. One deciding factor was the budding relationship Naruto-sama had with high-class female devil. So, an arranged marriage took place. Naruto-sama married the only female Satan, my sister Seraphol Leviathan. So that technically makes me Issei's aunt, but he has declared me his cousin because he won't take orders from me. This bombshell that Sona dropped was bigger than the last, making the gaping peerage members have eyes the size of dinner plates and mouths reaching the ground. Also, Issei is adopted. He is a half-dragon human hybrid who Naruto-sama adopted 8 years ago. That is what he meant by a true dragon. "Saji, he noticed your sacred gear and figured out that it is a dragon-based one. I was hoping to give him a good first impression of you to help with your dragon training, but that looks like it isn't going to happen now." Sona finished off her explanation. Saji looked nothing but guilty for hearing how he both ruined his king's plan and lost his chance to get training from an authentic training, even if he was a half-breed. Saji looked at his king again. "Just how strong is he?" "He could defeat me quite easily. He is far stronger than both me and Rias," Sona informed her peerage. "He is technically ruler of this town. I am more of a manager as he is the president of the company, to give you an analogy." Issei was just about to leave the grounds when a scent hit his nostrils. He glanced back and saw was a very short petite girl with white hair and yellow cat-like eyes. The girl had no expression on her face as she stared at him. Issei thought over her scent. I was mainly devil, but it had something else there that he couldn't place. He knew he had smelled something similar before, but he couldn't think of when and where. "Can I help you?" Issei asked the girl. "But you wants to see you," the girl said in a monotone. "But you?" Issei asked with a raised eyebrow. Somehow the look the small white-haired girl was giving him became even flatter. "Rias," is all she said. "Oh. Red wants to see me, eh? Alright, lead the way," Issei said with a grin. The girl nodded and started leading him through campus. They walked until they got to an old building. The white-haired girl opened the door and led him through the old worn-looking building. They came upon a set of large doors. The petite girl pushed them open, stepped into the room. Issei stepped in after and looked around the room. The room was a wood-paneled room with Victorian-style couches and chairs. The couches were facing each other with a table in between. Opposite of the door was a large desk and chair. Issei also spied a large area that was obviously meant for a summoning circle. He could hear running water and assumed there was a bathroom as well. Issei watched as the petite girl sat at the end of one of the couches and pulled out 2 cookies and started snacking on them. Issei, not knowing what he should do, decided to act like a dragon as he went to the opposite couch and sprawled out on it. He fully stretched himself out. He almost felt his wings pop out as he stretched. He could feel the eyes of the white-haired girl on him, but decided to ignore her as he closed his eyes, hoping to catch a quick nap. That is when new scents hit his nose. He didn't outwardly react, but he could smell sweets and freshly brewed tea. As well as catching a keno scent. He kept his calm visage in his resting state. "Ara, a defenseless dragon. How should I handle the situation?" Akeno purred out as she brought the tea and snack cart out into the main room. She, being the good host that she was, poured a cup of tea for Kaneko first, then she turned her undivided attention to the resting boy that both now assumed was napping. Issei kept this breathing even as he felt Akeno approach him. He felt this feeling in the pit of his stomach, a weird weight. As Akeno got closer the weight grew. He realized what the feeling was when she was leaning over him. He realized it was anticipation. He wanted to see what she would do to his unconscious form. Before Akeno could finish what she started, the running water turned off and a feminine voice was heard. "Akeno, could you hand me my clothes?" the voice said. Issei could hear the small huff Akeno made it being interrupted. "Of course, Rias," Akeno said as she started walking away from Issei. "Also, we seem to have a guest napping on one of the couches." "The guest? Who is it?" "Ara, I will let you find that out for yourself," Akeno said with a teasing voice. Issei kept hearing move around on the other end of the room as he kept pretending to nap. "Ice," is all he heard before a body landed on him. Issei wheezed as the body knocked the wind out of him. Before he could even recover, he was wrapped in a tight embrace from the person who had landed on him. All he could see was an ocean of crimson. A scent hit his nose and he knew who was holding him so tightly. "In a while, Red," is all Issei said as he too wrapped his arms around the said girl. Unknown to him, the girl flushed from hearing her personal nickname from the boy and how he embraced her as well. She snuggled into him more as she wanted to hold on to him for as long as possible. "Ara, Rias, don't go hugging Ice-kun," Akeno said with her patented angry smile. Rias turned to her friend and gave her a half-hearted glare. "I am not hugging Ice, he just got here. I am just greeting him." She let go of him as she stood up. Since she was off of him now, Issei could get a good look at the Gremory heiress. Issei's eyes widened and he had to try to keep his mouth closed as he took her in. She stood a couple of inches taller than Akeno at 5'8". Her chest seemed to be almost as big as Akeno's, maybe only a centimeter or two smaller. He could see she had wider hips, knowing that she obviously had a great ass as well. Finally, while Akeno's thighs could save lives, Rias could bring back the dead. Issei wanted to be crushed. He shook his head to get rid of those thoughts. He could hear Albion's laughter though. He growled mentally at the dragon. He looked up and saw Rias smirking at him. She had seen how Harry acted by seeing her body and she was quite overjoyed by how amazed he was by her figure. She turned away and started walking towards her desk with an extra sway of the hips. Issei's eyes were mesmerized by the sway. All three girls having different reactions to his blatant staring. Kaneko narrowed her eyes and quietly said, "Pervert." Akeno lost her smile as she gave Issei a very unhappy look. Finally, Rias gained a small smirk that she lost as she sat in her chair. "Now, I'm guessing you are the new student that has been the talk of the school?" Rias asked her crush. Issei snapped his head up to meet her eyes and nodded. "Yeah, was a boring first day. Only had fun at and lunch and after school when I crushed the perverts in Pawn of Sona." "Oh, you beat up the perverts?" Rias asked. "Yeah, they said some things that pissed me off, so I showed them who was superior. I made it slow as well, really drove the point home," Issei said with a smirk as he glanced at Akeno, whose eyes gained a lustful look while she smiled at him. "Why was lunch fun then?" Rias asked, confused about why that was so fun. "Ufu, Akeno giggled out. "That's because Ice-kun was with me," she said with a victorious smile aimed directly at Rias. "Well, I didn't really get to eat," Issei said as he glanced to Akeno, whose smile became an embarrassed one as Rias gained a smirk. "My, Akeno, you didn't let poor Ice eat. He's a half-dragon so he must have to eat a lot and you starved him. What kind of friend are you?" Rias teased her best friend. "I did tell him I will start making his lunches from now on." Akeno defended herself. "It's fine, Haim, one missed meal isn't going to kill me," Issei assured Akeno with a smile. She gave him one in return. "How about as an apology I make you dinner tonight?" Issei nodded at that, agreeing to the idea. Rias gained a jealous look in her eye at seeing this. She announced that she was going to help Akeno as well, as a welcoming gift to Issei, who just nodded along, not wanting to make either angry. That is when the door opened and a blonde boy with blue eyes walked into the club room. Issei took in the boy's appearance and scent. He could smell the devil on the boy, assuming he was one of Ria's peerage members. Issei could see how the boy could get the nickname Pretty Boy by his delicate features and kind smile. "Yo, name's Issei Uzumaki. I am assuming you are part of Ria's peerage." Issei greeted from his spot on the couch. The blonde boy widened his eyes for a second, remembering surname of the boy and knowing who it was. "Good day to you, Uzumaki-sama. My name is Udo Kiba." The now-named Kiba greeted. "None of that last name or suffix crap, I ain't one for formalities. Any friend of Red and Haim is a friend of mine. Is it cool if I call you Kiba?" "Very well, Issei. And yes, I am fine with you calling me Kiba." The blonde boy smiled. Issei grinned in return. Issei took in the room and smirked, he was going to like it here. Both Riaz and Akeno and some devil business to attend to, so Issei was walking home alone. Both did say that they would be by later to prepare him dinner. He agreed and left. He was taking a peaceful walk when a scent hit his nose. He started scanning the area. You smell that, Albion? Yep, smells like a weaker version of your old master, so fallen. Not just one either. There are more than one fallen in my territory. What is the plan here, partner? Isn't it obvious? This is my territory, and the fallen wouldn't dare go against the yokai who have a pact with the devils and angels. Meaning these are a rogue element. I can have a little fun. You do love a good fight. Fight? No, this will be a slaughter, Issei said as he gained a dark grin as he walked into his house. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support the AllSlayer for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. See you in the next video. Goodbye.